Hello. I am attempting to go live in two different locations. So hopefully this all works out. I am live on YouTube and I am live on Instagram. So, hello, welcome. I am going to try and do this a little more often, but we'll see how this one goes. And if it works out, then hopefully every Thursday I will set up a live for YouTube and for Instagram at the same time. So, I will also be uploading this to my podcast, which is Family Tech Talk, available on all the podcast places. So, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, etc., Google Podcasts, which is the one I use. Anyway, I am really excited about today's topic because I feel like it's a really hot button always, but especially right now, because the because there's just so much about it. So it's privacy. We're talking about privacy today. And the first thing I want to address is like a couple newsworthy items that specifically address privacy. So the first one is about my daughter's high school. So you may have seen it. It went a little bit viral that there was a high school teacher, a high school chemistry teacher in Utah that went on a political rant who no longer works for the school district. So they went on a rant. A kid recorded it. The rant, I mean, she didn't even really say things that were terrible, but the way she said it and the way she would not tolerate any discussion about it. It was a chemistry class. So um, I'm sure you can look it up. Utah high school teacher, chemistry class. You don't even have to put chemistry class. I think if you put Utah high school teacher, you'll find it. Um, but the thing was, like, a kid recorded this rant that by this high school teacher, and the by the time lunch happened, there were already parents at the school. It went viral really, really fast. I think the parents at the school were literally sent the video from their children, but this was the very first day of school, and she went on just a rant. And the thing I think that bothered people the most was that she was saying that, you should not listen to your parents, basically, and they, don't listen to what your parents say and, like, don't do what your parents say, which is the part I had a big problem with. The other part I had a big problem with was that if you disagree that in, like, any school district around the country, but so we'll get into the whole privacy right and everybody in the world having a phone, and you can be recorded at any minute, and it can affect you negatively. So we're definitely gonna talk about that. The other thing we're gonna be talking about is, Apple. So, Apple has always been, like, super concerned with user privacy. That's their big thing. They even are so concerned about privacy that even if it's the privacy of a 10-year-old, so it makes it impossible for parents to monitor and um, manage those iPhones because they are so concerned with privacy. They do not allow third party access into the phone to help parents monitor the devices. So they are shocking the world by saying they are going to start in the fall, I think around October, scanning images that you take with your phone for any child abuse imagery. And if there is imagery that features child abuse, then they will report it. So a lot of people, and myself included, I am super against exploitation of children for sure. I don't know who wouldn't be, except for people who do that kind of thing. Um, but I don't know that I like Apple's stance on this because of the implications of the down the road. for sure, right now, everyone's on board. Yes, save the children, protect the children. This is great because it's going to help protect the children, which, is amazing. Let's try and help protect the children. But what if something down the road becomes, you know, one person's way of thinking, and now they're scanning for that and reporting that? I mean, I can just see it snowballing and getting out of hand. Um, so let's touch on both of these things. So, true privacy, I have said for a little while, is dead. There can be no expectation of privacy at any point anymore. Um, for example, if you're going to act ridiculous in public, or if you're going to say things in public that you have made a promise or you made a um, commitment to not saying. So, for example, this teacher, it is specifically against the rules to talk about your political beliefs. You can't kick kids out because she said that, like, if you don't believe like me, you can just get out of class. Like, you can't do that in a public school. You can't kick them out for believing differently than you do. So, those are specifically against the rules for a teacher, specifically in the school district. I don't know if other school districts have the same kind of thing, but specifically in our school district, that this is a rule that they are supposed to abide by. So if you are going to break the rules, if you're going to break the law, if you're going to go into a fast food place and act ridiculous, somebody is going to record you. It's just that's how we are in 2021. Literally, everybody has a recording device in their pocket. So if you're going to break the law somewhere, you cannot have any expectation that those activities will be private. They won't. It's just not a thing. Um so this brings me back to the Apple scanning imagery. While I don't like that, it's Apple's right to do that because this is their product. If you don't want them to do that, you don't use that product. It's the same thing you know, if I wanna go into a store and they have rules for entry into the store, I need to abide by those rules because I don't have to go into that store. It is their right to require me to wear a mask or something like that. It's their right to do so. As a private establishment, I have the right not to walk in there, and they have a right to refuse me to walk in there, and I need to abide by that. So, same thing with Apple's privacy. If you if you're going to use their devices, you cannot have any expectation that anything you do on that device is private. It's a company, and they're going to put software on their devices however they want. You have a choice to not use that product. Um, so privacy, while kind of a inherent right, maybe, um, I just don't think it exists because there is too much technology that can bring your activities to light no matter how you're doing it. So if you are doing illegal things on your phone, the phone has the right to report you for those illegal activities. Um, and like I said, if you don't want those illegal activities to be reported, don't use those devices. That's just kind of where it boils down to. Um, so I'm saying my stance is there is no true privacy in 2021. We have video cameras in our pocket at all times. Everybody has a video camera, you know, at the ready. So don't act like a fool in public and you won't be recorded and you won't be shamed on the internet. That's, basically privacy 2021 101, right? Don't act crazy in public and you won't go viral for acting crazy. Second, um, don't do illegal activity and you won't be caught for illegal activity on these devices. So as we're talking about privacy, what about smart home devices? We are bringing microphones and cameras into our homes at all times. Um, you know, for sure. So at the beginning, when smart home speakers and stuff were just starting out, um, my husband had a big problem with me wanting to get a smart speaker. I'm a huge technology fan. I want all the latest technology. And so I definitely wanted a smart speaker. And if the the argument was, they're listening all the time. It's got a microphone. I'm like, yeah, so is this. This is always listening. I mean, this is my teeny tiny little palm phone, but um, it's always listening. And if you're not gonna allow, like, a smart speaker in your home, then you also can't allow your phone in your home. You know, keep the phone in your car or whatever, because the second it's in your house, it's just like a smart speaker. So, um excuse me. So anyway, um, smart home devices have microphones, they're listening all the time. But what I wanna say about that is most of the time, they're listening for keywords, right? So, your phone, your smart speaker, and everything is listening for keywords, which will trigger activity. And these keywords are programmed into the devices. So, a lot of, argument I get is that, like, I will say something about, I don't know, I broke my toe, right? And I'm saying, "Oh, I need to go to the hospital and break my toe because I broke my toe." Suddenly, all the ads on my Instagram, on my Facebook, and everything are, medical related, and you're like, "Man, that is like, how do they do that?" Um, and the funny thing is, like, with ad targeting, um, it it doesn't necessarily like yes, I fully agree that your phone, your smart speaker, everything is listening. Like I said, they're listening for keywords. So if I talk about Nike, I'm going to start getting ads for Nike because it's listening for those keywords. Oh, she's interested in Nike. So now I'm going to get a ton of ads for Nike. Um there are settings you can turn off on your phone that will, limit that from you know, the limit ad targeting basically, but it's not going to change the fact that it's still listening. You can also change your settings on your phone to deny permission to the microphone. But if you're ever going to do something in the future, so say I deny permission to the microphone to Instagram, I go later to create a story and whatever, and there's no audio on the story because I've denied permission to the microphone. So, it's not just the fact that it's listening, the fact that you need that as a function of the app. Like, so if I'm going to be using the app, I need a microphone to function properly. So, and then they're all tied together. So your online profile is all basically tied together. And, so I do a search on Google for such and such. Well, that's gonna trigger cookies on my device. That's going to trigger Facebook and Instagram to start serving me ads about that as well. And I honestly, the privacy aspect aside, I'm not that concerned with privacy. Again, because I feel like privacy is dead. So I'm not going to be super concerned about the privacy of these um, these devices. I'm hopefully not acting ridiculous in public. I could be, but it hasn't been recorded yet, so we'll see. And I'm not doing anything illegal, so I am not, like, super, super concerned about privacy. However, with the ads and stuff, I don't mind because it's actually showing me stuff I'd really be interested in. I would way rather be served ads for products that I could potentially want rather than a whole bunch of products that I have no interest in. Because then it would just be ridiculous to be like, "Oh my gosh, this is just so boring." Because I don't. I don't care about any of this. So if I do care about the product that you're selling, it's great for me to be exposed. I'm like, oh my gosh, I did not know that that was a product. I'm super excited about that. I want to go check it out. And I'm okay with that. As an advertiser, so, working for companies where we use Facebook ads and whatever, it's so nice to be able to connect with somebody who is exactly my target customer, because then I can expose my product to somebody who would potentially be interested in it, instead of just spamming the world with my product and hope that some people are interested in it. It's so much more expensive to do it that way when, a TV commercial, when you're not really targeting anybody except for people who are interested in whatever TV show that is. But the commercial is for the entire world, and it's not really specific to me, like, I don't care about that product, but I do care about this next product. And that's still going to happen, but with these targeted ads, I'm being exposed to products that, I potentially really would want, and as an advertiser, I'm able to connect directly with customers that really want my product, whether it's, this Instagram account or my YouTube channel or whatever. Like, that's a product that I am trying to get in front of parents who need that product. So, that's just a little word about ads and smart home devices. But I really like the meat of this conversation. I really want to talk about kids and privacy. So, I get a lot of questions about, with parental control monitoring and all of that, what's too much? Like, what kind of privacy am I allowing for my child? What kind of privacy should they expect? Um, and I totally get that because, when I was a kid, I didn't have my, obviously I had to like talk to people on like an actual phone with a cord and everything. but um but, my parents didn't hear my conversations, and since kids today aren't talking on the phone, they're texting and they're messaging, we do have that insight and the ability to see what your kids are doing and talking about. My parents didn't have that window into what I was doing. And then also, like, we had paper folded notes, And so I actually had an entire drawer in my dresser that was full, and I'm so bummed I got rid of it. But like when I went to college, I literally emptied the whole drawer and like threw it away. But I had like an entire dresser drawer full of all of the notes that I've passed, like from elementary school to high school. And it was like huge. But I really do wish I had those. I wanna read I wanna read what I was like back then. I have my journals, and I was pretty ridiculous. Um, but so, your parents, or like our parents, did not have that window into us. So how much privacy are should our kids expect to have? When So I've got a little bingy thing for YouTube and Instagram. So thank you for whoever subscribed to Instagram or YouTube. I appreciate you. Um, but so how much privacy are our kids, should they expect to have? And with all the monitoring capabilities that I have in place, I think, they should understand that anything they say, I might be able to see. Um, and it's a good lesson in privacy for your kids, because they should know that anything they say, anybody can see. Whether they say a private message to a friend and that friend screenshots it and sends it to somebody else, or they send a picture or a video to somebody, somebody else can record that, or, take a picture of it and pass it along. They should have no expectation of privacy from me or from anybody that they encounter. If their best friend could betray them and send all of their messages to somebody else. So, not only should they not have any expectation of privacy from their parents, they should have no expectation of privacy for anything they do online. If you want privacy, you write a note like anybody else, like I had to do when I was, or talk on the phone. You know, Live interactions would be harder to record, but still, I remember you know, even the Mean Girls thing, when you watch Mean Girls and they do that three-way bomb where, you're talking to somebody on the phone and there's somebody else already on the line listening to your conversation. Again, no expectation of privacy. Anything you say can and will be used against you on the internet. Like, that should be stamped into everybody's brain. Anything you say can and will be used against you on the internet. I think I'm gonna tweet that out today. Um, because it's true. So, no matter what you say on the phone, no matter what you say on online, in messages, in a video recording, that can be used against you. And kids also need to understand that not only will their peers see that, future employers, um, future college admissions people, they will look at their social media profiles. They will, do a Google search on your child and find out more information about them. So, you know, make sure your kids understand that. And so when they complain, like, you don't give me any privacy, well, yeah, because there is no privacy. You don't get that expectation of privacy because there is no privacy. Um, so I think that's the basics of what I want to talk about. Um, so when you're monitoring your kids and you know, people talk about privacy, you know, this is what you need to talk to them about. That when you're online, when you're out in public, when you're doing anything, there is no expectation of privacy. So that's the main thing I wanted to talk about today. I'd love to hear your thoughts if you have any comments or any thoughts about what I'm talking about. Do you think privacy is dead? I did a poll on my Instagram stories about about whether or not you think privacy is alive or dead. And a lot of people agree with me, but I'm surprised there are a lot of people that do think that there is privacy. And I would love to hear your thoughts on what you think can remain private, because I'm at a loss as to what could possibly be private unless with no internet access. Moments can be private with no devices. So, no recording devices. There is where your true privacy is. But in 2021, when everyone has access to a device, when everyone has access to the internet, there is no true privacy in 2021. So, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Definitely subscribe to the my YouTube channel, subscribe or follow me on Instagram. I'm happy to have these discussions. I'd love to have the discussion further if somebody wants to join me, but that's all I'm going to say about privacy for today. And then if you have any thoughts about Apple's new, I forget what it's called, like neural something, but it's their um, child exploitation protection, where they're scanning images before they are uploaded to iCloud. Also, if you have any thoughts about the Utah high school teacher, um, I would love to hear those as well. So hit me up on Instagram, send a comment either here on Instagram or here on YouTube, wherever you're watching. And I'm excited to see how this all played out, if it worked out really well on YouTube and on Instagram, because I tried to live stream them both at the same time. And hopefully it is good. And we will see you next Thursday.